Good evening, everybody. Let's see here. Certain that that's going the correct way. Doing my little check I do before we get into the stream tonight. How was everybody's holiday if you were in the U.S. and celebrated Memorial Day? Um, Send them a message real quick. All right, got that there. We can do that. Alrighty, we're gonna get into our project tonight. Is the music too loud? Um, Now that I got to a quiet part of the music, I'm gonna lower the level just a little bit. Here. Alrighty, so we're going to make a yarn bowl tonight. Let me get my little example here real quick. So we're gonna switch on over. So this is a traditional common yarn bowl, ceramic. It's actually stoneware, and they come in different materials. You can get them in wood. You can get them, I think, plastic or whatever. They can get you can get real creative with them. I've seen ones that look like monsters or faces, and the theory is if you got a ball of yarn and it sits on your table or whatever, and you're working with it and you pull from it, it could roll around. Well, this keeps it put, and this notch on the side will let you pull out the yarn. They're great, but they can be expensive and they're bulky. And if you're going to be traveling, going to um, anywhere, that you're going to do crocheting on the go, they're not real practical. So I'm going to show how to make one out of yarn. Oh, I got my hooks in there. One out of yarn. It's collapsible. It doesn't cost you anything because you can use it out of scrap yarn. And this one has eyelet holes, so you could pull your yarn through. Let's get my yarn again. Got my yarn in the basket or the bowl, and I can pull it through, and then it'll work through and won't go anywhere. And then also you could fold it up and put it in a bag, and you're ready to go. What I'm going to show, you can also do without the eyelet holes and just make a basket to store whatever you want. It doesn't have to be for yarn. And I'm going to show an example that I made the other day. This is a little bit bigger one. It's bigger around. This one I made dividers, and the dividers are just rectangles, just crocheted rows, rectangles, and then laid them on top, did two of them, laid them on top of each other and stitched them together, and then put them in here, and they're movable because it's crochet, and then this stores some of my crochet cotton. I separated them by size. I've got a bunch of other ones that didn't fit in here. And this was all yarn I had And they're cool looking. I can't really show, well, actually, I can show it here. If you look my lower right, down in the corner, you can see that they're decorative and they're useful. And that one doesn't have the holes in it like this one does. If I wanted to, I could put them in there. Okay. So, oh, my sock project was in my yarn bowl. And you can also put your hooks in it. And where did I put? The other day, Saturday, I showed how to make a yarn buddy where you can keep all your tools, your hooks, and your needles, and your stitch markers, and your scissors. This one actually has a loop on it, so I can attach, oops, untie it. I can attach the yarn buddy to it, just do a simple little knot. And then it's a yarn bowl, but it's also where I'm keeping all of my project, so that can all go in one spot, so I'm not searching for everything, and you're ready to go. Alrighty. You can use whatever yarn you have. The key is you're going to do multiple strands so it has some body, so it'll stand up. This one is 2 strands of worsted weight yarn. I would do at least 2 strands. If you do any more, you could. It's going to be thicker and bulkier. If you're using like DK weight, I would recommend using like 3 strands. What I'm using here, and we're actually going back in time. We're doing vintage here. This is a thing of yarn I have. I don't know where I got it from. I don't know if somebody gave it to me, or I think at one time I purchased some random, a lot of yarn, a lot meaning not a lot, but a lot, like a grouping of yarn. Okay, I gotta turn my music down. It's even loud for me. I got like a group, a bunch of yarn off of eBay. It was odd. It was like an odd skein here and there, or whatever. Maybe it was with this. Well, this is a baby yarn. It's a worsted weight, but it's pastels. And let me check something. And it had the label, and I saved the label with it. This has got to be from the 70s or the 80s, because this is the label. I got to show you the label. This is Windtuck. They don't make Windtuck yarn anymore. And it's very retro. It says it's worsted weight. It doesn't even have a hook recommendation on here. It doesn't have gauge swatch. It doesn't have, this is before they standardize the sizes. It just says worsted weight. And also, and I didn't know this, it's got a price tag on here from Kmart. It was $1.09 for 3.5 ounces. Yeah. I got a couple of them that have the old labels on it. So a while ago, I had caked it. It didn't actually come in a cake, but I caked it. To double it up, I am pulling, if you have a cake, and this is just a tip for anybody who is working from a cake and they only have one color but they want to double up. If you're working from a cake or a skein, it can be a skein too, you could pull from the center and you could pull from the outside. So that's what I've done. I've pulled out excess from the outside, and I'm going to double up both strands so it's opposite ends of the skein. So that's the inside, that's the outside. I'm going to double them up. And you're going to use a hook. You might want to go up a size or 2 than what you normally do. I'm going to still use my 5.5 millimeter that I normally use for worsted. This is also a thinner worsted. So to start this, let me go back to my example here. I got to take this yarn buddy off of this because it's just going to get in my way. So when we start on the bottom, and we're going to start in the center. We're basically going to be crocheting in the round to as wide as we want it. So this will be a good lesson for anybody who wants to make circles. This, I think I went, I can count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, there were 7 rounds for the base. You can make it as wide as you want. So we're going to start. You could start with a magic circle, or you could start with a chain. I'm going to start with the chain. It doesn't really matter. So we're going to put a slip knot on. The key thing is you're going to treat your multiple strands as one strand. You're going to forget that they're 2. You're going to just think that they're 1. And you don't want to, when you yarn over or make the stitch, you don't want to just pick up 1. You want to make certain you get both of them. So you're going to treat them as one strand. Because you're making basically you're making a thicker yarn. You're not actually twisting it together, but you're making a thicker yarn. So you're going to chain a number, which I'm going to chain 4, and I'm going to slip stitch into the very first chain that I made. Let me turn this light off. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. So I've chained 4, slip stitch into the first one that I made to form a ring, just like you're going to make a granny square. I put my tail to the back. We are going to work over the tail. And you can do any number of stitches that you want into the circle. It does not really matter. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have 10 half double crochets. So I'm going to chain up 2. That's going to count as my first one. So now I'm going to need to do 9 actual half doubles. So that's 1, and then 9 more, so I'll have 10. So we're just doing basic half doubles. And we're going to count 10. So that's 3. Remember, our chain 2 counts as 1. So now we have 3, 4, 5. And I got to pull slack out of the center of my cake. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5. 6. Come on. Oops. 6. Actually, you know what? Before I get too far, I didn't chain over my tail. So we're going to start over. So we are going to have the 2 chains. That counts as 1. I forgot to incorporate the tail. So we're going to do our first one, our first half double, and just lay your tail along your loop. And then that way you'll encase it in your stitches. I always forget to do that. So we have 2 stitches there. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I'm still working around my tail. That was 7, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8, 9, and now we have 10. You can always go back and count your stitches. Remember, you count your V's. So the V is on the outer side. I know I have 10, but I'm going to double check again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you could pull your tail a little tight. It's not really going to cinch up. It will cinch up if you do the magic ring. And this isn't really going to matter if you have a larger hole there. Because again, it's just the bottom of the basket. You're not going to put anything little in it. If you are going to put anything small in it, I would recommend the magic circle. So then you can cinch it up. So then we're just going to slip stitch into our chain. Remember we started with 2 chains. So you're going to slip stitch into the top of those 2 chains. Get the hook wherever you can get it in there. Okay. Oops, come on. Oh, it didn't want to go in the right way. Okay, we've slip stitched. That's round 1. Now, round 2, in each of those stitches we made, we're going to put 2 half doubles. So we got, remember, count the V's. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So right here, we're going to put 2 double crochets. You're increasing. The key thing is when you're doing circles, if you want a perfect circle, each round you do, you're going to add the number of your base round. So our first round had 10. So into each of these stitches, we're going to put 1 stitch, and that's going to count as the actual row, but then we also are going to add the base. So we're always adding by 10 in this case. If you had 8 in the round, you'd be in multiples of 8. If you did 12, you'd be in multiples of 12, etc. So there's 2 there. And there's 2 in that stitch. If you want, you could put in a stitch marker. That's optional if you want to keep you on track. So I've got 2 and 2, and I'm going to do this all the way around. So I'm going to have a total of 20 stitches. So I have 4, that's 5, 6, 7, and 8, 9, and 10. So we're halfway around that round. Sometimes getting through all of these multiple layers, it can snag. Just take your time. Okay, so I've got 12 there. That was 13. Now I got to do number 14. 15. 16. 17. Come on. And 18. And then in our last one, let me just double check something here. I always count. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Wait. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. How did I get 18? There should be an odd number. I only did 1 on them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Let me just make certain I'd actually put 2 in each stitch. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Okay, that's weird. Well, I just took out number 19. There's 19, and then we're going to put in 20. I know what it is. When we slip stitch to join, you're going to slip stitch to the very beginning. That should form the 20th V. And now I can double check. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. There we go. Okay. So the first round had 10, the second round had 20. Now the third round we're going to need 30, but we need to gradually increase all the way around. We can't put all the increases on one side because it won't be a circle. So we're going to chain 2, and then in that first stitch, that very first stitch, you're going to put in 1 half double crochet, and then the next stitch is the increase. So you're going to put 2 in the next. Let me just move my yarn out of the way. So we're going to do, the first stitch has 1, the next stitch has 2. The next stitch will have 1, the next stitch will have 2. It's basically how you do a round. Come on. This yarn is old and it's splitty. So I'm having some issues. But that's okay. Let me pull out some of this yarn that I have so I can do the stitch properly. So I did 1 stitch by itself, then 2. 1 stitch, then 2. So there's the 1, the 2, the 1, then 2. And that's the repeat for this round. So it's 1 by itself. Hey there, Snoopy Skellingtons. Your brother and I are finally out of the hospital. That's not... Oh, you were in the hospital too? It's good. I remember you said that your brother was in the hospital. I'm glad that he's doing better. Too. So when we do every other stitch, we're adding 2. We're increasing gradually. So we're increasing there, and then that one gets 1, and then the next stitch here will get 2. So we're going to increase there. You stayed the night every night with him to keep him company. Oh, wow. Well, hopefully he's doing better. So all we're doing is we're slowly increasing all the way around. And then when we get to the end of this round, we should have 30 rows. I mean, 30 stitches on this row. Getting everything tangled here. And everything's snagging because this is vintage yarn. And we're getting ready to have an ad here in a few seconds. Come on. 1. This one gets 2. And I'm going to finish this row, though, this round here. Let me just double check something. 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 26, 27, 28. Okay. I will be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for watching that ad. Again, it really helps my channel. So I finished round 3. We've got 30 stitches. And now we're going to do round 4. So again, we're going to just chain 2. That was going to count as one of our stitches. That's actually going to be well, in this round 4, we're going to have 40 stitches. That's number 40. So hold off on that one for a second. So in the very next stitch, we're going to put 1 by itself. Actually, wait a whiminute. I always forget where it goes. I always miss that first stitch. It's right here. There we go. So make certain you go immediately next to it. So we're going to do 40. So we got to ease in 10 stitches into whatever we have here, because we're going from 30 to 40. So that's 1. The next one is 1. So there's 1 in the first one, 1 in the second, and in the third stitch, they will be 2. That is the increase. You will, anytime you put 2 in one stitch, that's an increase. It's basic crochet increasing. And you're going to continue this pattern all the way around. So we have 1, and then 1, and then this one has 2. Kind of like Saturday when we made the yarn buddy. It's the same type of thing. But this way we're getting much bigger than the yarn buddy. The yarn buddy, I think, had like 4 rounds. So that one gets 1. The next one gets 1. And then the third one will get 2. So again, we're just easing in the increases evenly all the way around the circle. That gets 1. That gets 1. And then this one gets 2. Hey there, Citric for Blue. How are you? Gets 1. This one gets 1. And this last one will get 2. I don't like this yarn. It's what happens when you use yarn that's as probably old as you are. So, I swear to God, this yarn is probably as old as I am. Or almost. It's went through my stash to find something, and I had the yarn label. When I caked it up, I put the yarn label in the center, like I usually do if it has one, and I didn't know Kmart sold yarn at one point. It has a price tag for $1.09, and it's wind tuck yarn. There's no copyright on it, but it's definitely 70s or 80s. Those of you who were just joining and didn't see that when I first showed it. Yep. Again, I don't know how I acquired this yarn. I don't know if it was something that somebody gave me. Yes, wind tuck with an asterisk. You're right. Again, I don't know if it was something somebody gave me a bunch of them, or if it was in like a bunch of odds and ends that I got on eBay, because I know a few years ago I did purchase some like miscellaneous skeins, so it could have been in that. I'm pretty good, Suspense Nasty. How are you? Yeah, the problem is, I mean, it's actually soft for being old acrylic yarn, because I know a lot of the stuff was, because I've used it before, it was a little on the scratchy side, but this isn't too bad. But it's splitty. It's very splitty, and again, it's old. Burger night tonight, so well, burgers sound good. We had pork chops with this rice type of thing. I can't remember what. Grammy can tell you. and there was mixed vegetables and greens. You think you have some of this from when my grandmother tried to learn to knit in the 70s? Yep, it's definitely from that era. Okay, I'm just increasing my round. Okay, when I get to the end here, I'm going to have 2 stitches plus, well, actually there's an extra one here. So we're still doing our repeat. The first one gets 1, the next one gets 1. So we're gonna complete those stitches. So that's 1, and that's 1. And now, when I started this round, that chain 2 I said is going to count as your first stitch, as your last stitch. That's going to be part of the increase. So that would be, this would be stitches 37 and 38. And now in the next stitch, we're going to do 39. And that chain 2 here when we started counts as stitch 40. So we just do 1 there, and that will create the increase. And then again, we're going to slip stitch into the top of that chain 2, and we've got 40 stitches. We're going to do this a couple more times. This here, the bottom, was 7 rounds, so it's actually 70 stitches on the outside row or round. This one here's got 40, so we got a couple more rounds to go. So again, that's going to count as stitch 50, so we're not going to worry about that right now. And we're going to go in the next stitch, and that one's going to get 1. The next one will get 1. The next one will get 1. So the first 3 each get 1 on this round, and in the 4th stitch, we'll get 2. That is our increase now. So a total of 5 stitches, 1 by itself, 1 by itself, 1 by itself, and then 2 together. And then you repeat that pattern for this round. 2, and those are the 3 by themselves. And then we've got one that's going to be joined up together. Same thing. I went in the wrong spot. I went between the stitches and not actually in the stitch. So those are 3 by themselves. Hey there, why are you so salty? How are you? And then the 4th stitch of this group gets 2. And again, 1 by itself, 1 by itself, and 1 by itself. Again, I really don't like this yarn. What project are you working on? Okay, so that's 3 by themselves, and then the next stitch will get 2 together. 1, 1, 1. 2 together. Starting on a granny square blanket, trying out a new flower granny square pattern, and I'm loving it. Nice. Well, you are right on topic, because Thursday night, and I will give you all the sneak peek for Thursday night. Thursday night, as you could see above at the top there, it says Granny Month is all June long, except temperature blanket nights, except Sundays. We're doing granny squares, and June's theme is gardening. Every granny square I show will be a garden themed, mostly flowers. I think near the end we're going to do some insects, some really cool ones. And they're mostly going to be 3-dimensional of some sort. So Tuesday nights, not Tuesday, today is Tuesday. Thursday nights, we're going to start real simple, and we're doing a 3D daisy granny. It's real. The only 3D part are the petals, and they're simple. They're popcorn stitches. Everything else is pretty flat. So that will be our, let me zoom out a little. It's a little too much. So that will be our first square for Granny Week. And there'll be a whole bunch of other ones throughout the month. We're going to do 2 in there. And I like a lot of these floral granny squares because they're good for using up little bits of scrap. Because you're only using a little bit of color in each for each one, for each round. So a good way to bust through your scrap collection. Hey there, Anna the Wallflower. Speaking of granny squares, if anybody is on the Discord, was it yesterday or today? Anna had posted a picture of a granny square that she was working on, and you said something about you were like a beginner. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't increase the right way. I kept going singles. She posted a picture of a granny square, and she said that she was a, a beginner at them, and what she did was perfect. It looked wonderful. Okay, let me just double check. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I keep snagging this yarn. No, it's true. So, if you're not a member of the Discord, I would suggest you go look at it. And even if you are a member, go take a look at it. She had posted it. Let me double check real quick. It's in the Whips and Foes. And it was today. It was early today, this morning. And it's four rounds. Each are a different color. And looks really good. And you even got your center hole like tight. Did you use the magic ring? The magic circle? Because that's what it looks like to me, because I don't see any hole in the center. Now this is our increase. Okay, now I'm here near the end to join. And again, our pattern for this row was 1 by itself, 1 by itself, 1 by itself, then 2. So I have 1, 1, 1, and then I could do 2 here because I'll have one I'm going to put in, and the 2 will, oh, it would help if I zoom in. So I would do 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and then when I put the 1 here, the second one is already there because it was our 2 chains. Oddly, not a magic ring. I'm surprised about the no hole. Oh, wow. You must have done either you stitch real tight, or you might have, did you do like 2 or 3 chains to form the room? Probably about 3 chains. I usually do about 4 chains to start. Oh, my yarn color, this here?
Thanks for the follow.
Thank you for the follow, Orphe Fairchild. How are you? If you're new here and just joining, I'm the Crafty Cub. I stream about 4 nights a week, mostly teaching a project like I am right now. And we are having Granny Week coming up starting Thursday, not Granny Week, Granny Month. I'm used to saying Granny Week because that's usually Granny Week. Starting on Thursday, we're going to have Granny Squares all month long. I also, for those of you who know, I have a YouTube channel and a Discord. Well, thank you. Thank you for saying that my Twitch channel is great. I appreciate that. So what we're working on tonight is we are making a yarn bowl. So you don't have to go and buy a ceramic or wood one. You can make your own and personalize it. So this round, and again, let's zoom in a little more. This round, the round we just did had 50. We're going to end up going, just like the one I just did, we're going to have 70 stitches when we get done that round. So we have 2 more rounds before we start making the side. We're still working on the bottom. Again, you can make this as big as you want. If it's a yarn bowl, I would recommend decent size. I mean, this is a little bit small for a yarn bowl. But if you want to make it a basket for something else, you can make it this big. You can make it however big you want. Again, I got to adjust. That music's a little bit loud. Okay, so we're going to do another round, and it's going to be, we're going to have 60 stitches when we get done. So we've chained 2. That is going to be our 60th stitch when we get to it. We're not to that point yet, because we just started. So for this round, we're going to put 1 by itself, and they're doing half double crochets. So 1 by itself, another by itself, another 1 by itself. So that's 3. I keep snagging. 1 more. So that's 4. And then in the next stitch, we'll get 2. If it would stop snagging. One of the reasons it's also probably snagging is I'm doubling it up and I'm not using a much bigger hook. I don't want it to be a bigger hook because I want this to be somewhat dense. So when we get to the sides, it'll stand up somewhat. If I use a much bigger hook, the stitches are going to be looser and the sides are just going to fall over. So you want it to hold its shape. So we're going to do 1, 1, 1, 1. So that's 4, all in separate stitches. And in the next stitch, we're going to do number 5 and number 6. And my yarn is starting to tangle a little. And you're going to work all the way around and do the same thing. So repeat that pattern. That's 4 by itself, and then the next one gets 2. Yarn just keeps snagging. Four, and then the next one will have 2 by itself. I mean, not, there'll be 2 together, not 2 by itself. Okay. If it doesn't catch, really don't like this yarn. Okay. Fourth one by itself. Okay. I'm really getting some tangling going on over here. Everybody bear with me. I gotta stop and untangle here and there. 2, 3, 4. The next one we get number 5 and 6. And it's easy if you start with 10 in the center. Each round, it's a multiple 10, and 10's easy to keep track of. So I know when I do this multiple here, I do 1, 2, 3, 4 by itself, and then 5 and 6 are together. And I know when I get done this row, I'm going to have 60. So that's just an easy way to remember. 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 go together. We're going to do. I'm going to get to the end here. I'm going to do the same thing for one more round, and again we'll have 70 stitches when we get done. This one gets 2. And since I'm doing the same pattern repeat over and over again, I'm not going back and counting all 60 or 70 stitches. I know my pattern is going right. If you want, you can go back and count them. 2, 4, 'You're counting because you doubt yourself? Yeah, definitely. If you have doubts, definitely count. I will know if when I get to the end here, if I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then one more 5 here, I know I've counted right. Again, I will definitely count the first 2 or 3 rounds to make certain I have the right amount. But once I get past that, and I got the pattern going, and it's just each round is just increasing by 10 stitches total all the way around. In this case, because again, if you weren't here in the beginning, whatever you start your first round. In this case, I did 10 stitches. Each additional round, you're going to add 10. So the next one was 20, and then 30, and 40, and so on. So they're multiples of 10. If you started with 8, they're going to be multiples of 8. If you started with 12, whatever your first round is, that's your multiple. That's how you know you're going to have it even, and you're going to have a circle. Yep. All we're doing is increasing. So the first round had 10, and then the second round, each stitch got 2 in it. So you're doing an increase. Again, an increase is anytime you put multiple stitches into one stitch. So we're doing a simple increase. We're putting 2 stitches into one stitch. And then the third round, we're supposed to have 30. So the second round had 20. So we need to make 30. So we got to put 10 extra in there. So the third round was 1 by itself, and then 2 together, 1 by itself, 2 together, and so on. And then each round, you keep adding. You put one stitch by itself, and then you'll get an even circle instead of an oval or something misshapen. And the way I do it, the chain 2, because I'm doing half doubles here. After you finish a round and you chain up to get the height, that chain will count as your very last stitch. So when I get here, I do my 4 individual stitches for this round, and then when I need to increase, I do 1 here, but that chain, in this case, a chain 2, will count as my 60th stitch, and that's my increase. And I'm just going to slip stitch into the top of that chain, and there we go. So like right now, I'm going to chain 2. When I get done this, when I get all the way back around here, that is going to be number 70. So 70 gets done first. That's just the way I look at it. There are other ways to increase. You're basically doing the same thing. Some people increase first and then do their individual ones. There's a whole bunch of different ways of spreading it out. So now this time we're going to have, it's 70, so it's going to be, we got to divide it up into groups of 7. So there's 1, 2, there's number 3, if it will cooperate. Snagging yarn, snagging yarn. Yeah, big time snagging. Okay. You can call me Crafty. You can call me Cub. You can call me. And I know Grammy's gonna roll her eyes. You can call me anything but late for dinner. Bad joke. It's 2, 3, 4, 5, and then in the next one we'll get 2 stitches. So that's our group of 7. So you're gonna do that all the way around. And we're going to have another ad here shortly. 2, 3, 4, 5. This one will get 2 because that's the increase. 2, 3, 4, 5. Take some more of that slack up. And now this is our increase. And I'll be right back after this ad. Welcome out back, everybody, from that ad. Thanks for watching, sitting through that ad. It really helps me. And welcome, Clay Miko and North Fairy, and thank you for the sub. Those of you who are just joining, all I'm doing is I'm making a round. I started with 10 half double crochets in a round, and then each row are getting bigger. So we had 10 stitches, we've increased to 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and now I'm working on my 7th row, which is going to have 70 stitches. And I'm finishing it now. 3, 4, 5. And now I'm going to do my little increase at 6 and 7. And then we're going to slip stitch and join. That is going to be the base of our basket. Now, it looks a little bit smaller than this because this yarn's a little bit thinner. Yes, they're both worsted weight, and yes, they're both 2 of them, but the yarn itself is thinner, so this is going to be a little bit smaller. And I use the same hook on this basket as I am on this, but it's not that big of a deal. I can have a smaller one smaller basket if I want. So now I've got the size I want my base to be. So no more increasing. So now what we're going to do, there's 2 ways of doing this. I'm going to start working my sides. What I can do is every stitch is going to get 1 stitch. So all the way around through the very top, we're going to have 70 stitches in this case. I can either, when I do the stitch, I can go under both loops like we normally do. And that's what I'm going to end up doing on this, because that will create a more rounded transition from the flat bottom to the sides. But if you wanted a more abrupt change, if you wanted to go like more of a straight side, you would only go through the front loops onto this round, from the flat round to the side, and that would create more of a sharper corner. Either one is fine, whatever you want to do. I'm not going to worry about front loops right now. Thank you for the sub there, North Fairy. Wow, North Fairy is very generous tonight. So I've got 70 stitches all the way around. And again, those of you who are joining, it's doubled up. It's 2 strands. And you want to have multiple strands so it has some body to it. So it'll stand up by itself somewhat. You don't want to do this just 1 strand. And you might want to go up a hook size or 2. I'm not. I'm keeping the same size hook. Also, I do stitch on the tighter side, so that alone will help the stitches, the fabric to keep its shape. So as we were working on this, it's pretty much flat. I mean, it'll curl a little bit because that's just the nature of it when you crochet. Sometimes if you crochet tight, it will curl, but it will you can make it lay flat. But since I'm not increasing now, when I add more, it's going to curl up because there's no ease. You're not easing it out like you are when you increase. And this is just simple half double crochet. You could do this all in single crochet if you wanted. I just think the half double stitch makes a little bit of like a sturdy stitch. What you also can do as we do this, I'm going to be working on this all stream long. We got the base done. Oh, I love half double crochet is like my favorite base stitch. I love them. You can do variations of it. If you've seen, and I haven't done it in a while, if you see me do any of the sock pattern that have going on, it's on hiatus right now. It's a herringbone half double, which it's a slightly different little technique for it. You could do that. You could get real creative with some of these stitches. Also, what you can do, you can do a few rows of half double, and then after that, do like a row or two of singles, and then switch back. I'm just going to do half doubles, just to keep it simple. And you can make this as tall as you want. I've got 7 rows. I'm working on 8 now. This here from the center to the top is about 17 rows. When we get a little taller, I don't think I'm going to make this one as tall as this. I'm going to go up a few more, and then I will show you how to do the eyelets. The eyelets are super simple. And then I can show you how to do the loop here. That's like an extra thing if you want. You don't have to have a loop on the edge of it. But I'm just going all the way around. And if you want, and I might do this here, I'm going to mark my first stitch with a stitch marker. Nope, no written pattern. It's just you're doing your circles. You can make it as wide as you want. If you wanted it narrower, if you didn't want to do a yarn bowl, if you just wanted to do like a little basket, and if you stitched tight enough or had multiple strands and the sides would stand up by themselves, you could do a smaller one as like a pencil cup. You could do whatever you want. So there isn't real set pattern, because you can make this whatever size you want. You can make it wider or more narrow. Like for instance, and I showed this earlier in the stream, this basket here that I made, and I got to zoom out. I just made this the other day, and this is just using cotton yarn. It was two strands of cotton yarn, and I think I did 8 rounds for the bottom. I can't show the bottom because everything will fall out, but that's what the side looks like. And then I made a divider, and the divider is simple. You just make rectangles, basically the diameter of your base, and then you make them as high as you want, as high as your sides. And I made 2 of them identical, and then I laid them on top of each other, and I just did a running stitch right down the center to connect them. And then I put this in here, and I'm using it to store my crochet thread, and it's separated by size. And then if I have more of one, this divider can move all the way around, and the divider is not attached to the basket. So if I wanted to use this for something else, I can take the divider all the way out and put something else in here. So I like it. You don't have to worry about finding a container for something. You can put like I said, that's got crochet thread in it. You could put any other type of supplies, whatever you need to keep organized. Or if you just want empty baskets as a decorative thing, as like home decor, that works too. And again, it's great for using up your scraps, whatever you have, your stash, whatever you have on hand. Yarn keeps splitting because yarn this old probably will end up splitting. So if they're still here, how are Nor Fairy and Clean Miko doing this evening? Pull out more excess of my yarn so I'm not getting all snagged on things. Tired and frustrated, I'm sorry. You have icons next to your name? Um, I thought you've always had those. I don't know what they mean. I don't know. Hope you feel better soon. They're dealing with a toddler. Hmm. Yep. That was probably bound to happen. Pray at me. A toddler refuses to go to sleep on their own, has given up naps, has no problem peeing her pants while looking directly at us. Yeah, that's that's what toddlers do. Girls are at least easier to potty train, said the greatest liar on earth. Okay. So I've come to the end of my row. I'm not counting because because I know I had 70 on my base. And even after one row, it's already starting to curl up. And that's what we want because we want our sides. And I put a stitch marker in there just so I can keep track of um, where I'm going. It's not really that important. I mean, I guess it is to slip stitch to join. You could do that, or you could do a spiral method where you just keep going. I am going to slip stitch to join. Where did my stitch marker go? Oh, it's right here. My improvised stitch marker, which paperclip again. You don't need anything fancy. Use what you got. Strong-willed 2-year-olds run the show. Wanted to ask about blocking. Do you do it? I saw a video on it and wondering. I have blocked one or two things. I generally don't block. I should block things. And not everything needs to be blocked. Obviously, this basket just doesn't really need to be blocked. Squares, like granny squares, will look better if they're blocked. I've never done it before. She seems to understand the concept. She is just very strong willed and wants to do it all herself. So when it is our idea for her to sit on the potty, she gets frustrated because it wasn't her idea. So we ordered a potty training watch that now sings when she needs to try. It has worked much better today. Gee, I wonder where she gets the strong will from. Well, if the watch thing works, if it's worked better today, then that's good. I'm just pulling out a whole bunch of slack. The watch sounds really cool. Hope it'll last and hope with the transition. Yeah, definitely. So now I'm on the second round of the sides. I'm going to go up probably about, I don't know how many rounds I should do. This might be a little bit of a longer stream, just me sitting here crocheting in the round. Yeah, I know Grammy, Norfairy, and Clean in person. Yeah, we all know each other. So we know what's going on. Yeah, long history. Yes, yep. Grammy crochets, Clay and Norfairy. Yeah, we all crochet. Actually, I there's another follower that comes in. They haven't been in a while. If you ever see the name Crojo Mojo, she crochets. She taught me how to crochet, so she's responsible for all of this. And then many years ago, I taught Clay how to crochet. Grammy knew how to crochet before. So, yep. Hey, you've got the Crochet Cub here on Twitch, and you've got the Discord. Yes, it's all Crojo's fault. We blame Crojo. What I was thinking about doing at some point on a non streaming evening, or anytime I'm not, a day that I'm not streaming, depending on the time, whatever works for everybody, maybe once a month. Just an idea that I've got rattling around my head. Um, if anybody wants to, they don't have to. I was thinking about doing a Discord, not a viewing party, but a Discord video voice hangout where we all just sit and kind of virtually, if you want to be on camera or not, and crochet. Since we can't really all get together in person, kind of like a like a virtual crochet club, basically. And if anybody's got any questions or they're struggling with something, maybe live right there. I mean, yes, we can help in the Discord as it is, or here on stream. We can help answer questions, but possibly if we did a Discord yarn party, like Clean Miko called it, and help each other live. And I know not everybody would be comfortable with being on camera, which I totally get. Yeah, Anna's a recent follower of the stream. She was in the other night, or the other morning for her. Actually, I don't know if you saw it, Clay Miko. So, what was it, Saturday night when Anna was in here? I think you said something about you were you didn't really know how to do granny squares or whatever. And I said, well, tune in for June because we're having our granny event. And then this morning she posted a picture in the Discord of a granny square that she did. And it's like, it's perfect. And I'm not just saying that to be nice. No, it's literally, it looks perfect to me. So, well, I forgot what I was going to say. Completely forgot what I was going to say. Mine went blank. Yeah, I've gotten a few international viewers. You skip work today, so I'm still laying in bed right now. Crafty Cup's first lesson on grannies on Twitch when I finally conquered my granny square nemesis. Yes, that was back in February. I think it was in February. Um, both Clay Miko and Crojo, they could not figure out granny squares, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but they both said, and they both showed me pictures of, they were crocheting along with me, and they both had said, it was like, yep, I got it now. Sometimes it just takes, and I'm the same way. If I'm trying to learn, not just something crochet, anything new, I can watch or have somebody teach me 1,000 times and I can't get it. It just takes that right person, that right technique of how to explain it, and then sometimes it just clicks for you. Okay, I'm still working on round and around. Now I make them all the time, and I'm working on a glorious granny blanket. Yeah, the glorious granny is really pretty. I really like it. And what I'm doing here, I'm just adding the sides to it. Technically, if you made it the right size and you didn't go the sides as far, this is kind of the start of like a hat. If you wanted to do a crochet a hat, working in the round, it's almost like a beret style, I guess. I mean, you can. There's all different ways of doing them, but pretty much working the round and in the round. And I got to zoom out because you can't really see it. So you can see I'm starting to get the sides a bit. And actually, this side is the outside. So it's curling up this way, but when it's going to be done, and I should start doing it, actually, I should start curling it the other way around. That will be the inside, because there is a right and a wrong side. So that's the pretty side, that's the outside. Okay. Now I'm just going to slip stitch to join, and again, I'm not increasing. I'm just going round and round. You change the color. You can make a raspberry beret, the kind you find at a secondhand store. Okay, I don't want to get flag for copyright infringement, Grammy. You're gonna make me sing that. Oh, and actually that's a good suggestion. At any time, let's say I ran out of this yarn, and I can add another color. I mean, you're the designer. But it's pretty repetitious. It's real simple to do. I'm gonna do like after I get done this row, probably 2 more rows. I'm gonna make a short one, and I'll show you how to do the eyelets. I don't think we want to sit here and watch me do a total of 18 rows. I've got like about 10 done already. I want to give it a little bit of height to it. I don't want it to be too short. I mean, if you want, I can keep going. You're headed to bed. Okay, good night, Clean Miko. I will chat with you later. And we're going to have an ad coming up again. Already been a half hour. Time flies when we're having fun. I will be back. And welcome back again, everybody. Again, I say it all the time. Thank you for sitting through that ad break. I appreciate it. It really, really helps my channel. I know it can kind of be inconvenient to watch some commercials. but it does really help. Okay, I'm coming up to the end of this row, and I'm going to join. Take out my stitch marker. I can open this paper clip. Come on. There we go. I'm going to do a few more rows, like I said. Getting into this one stitch can be a little pain. There we go. So, again, that's the inside. And you can already see that the sides are starting to curl up because we're not increasing. We're just adding more. So, we've already got a rounded corner, rounded edge from the bottom to the side. And if you want, you could just stop there and it could be a little tray. You can make this, again, the sides as tall as you want. But if you want the yarn bowl and with the eyelets, you're probably going to want it a little taller. Like I said, I'm going to do this row and another row. I don't have to have it as tall for this sample. Would also help if this yarn wasn't as splitty. Again, for being the yarn is being as old as it is, it's actually not that scratchy. It's actually, I mean, it's not super, super soft, but it's definitely not rough like a lot of yarn from back then was. A lot of acrylic yarn, I should say. Oh, I didn't split, I lost one of the strands. If you lose one of the strands, you're going to have a loop and it could snag on something. And it's also not going to look right. I also, oh, I got to take out some of these stitches so they can form the correct way. Actually, you know what? You can actually do some of the more decorative stitches, like some of the other ones that I've shown on the stream in months past. You can incorporate them into this. That would be kind of fun to each row to be a different stitch, not just a basic stitch, more of a decorative stitch. Like you could do popcorn stitches. You can do heck, I can't remember half the ones. The more intricate, the alpine stitch. Remember that one? That was a pretty one. Yeah, I gotta pull out a lot more strands. will be kind of cute is like the cat stitch that I did back in April when I did all the animal themed stitches. The cat stitch would look really cute, where you change colors however many rows to form the stitch all the way around. I'm nearing the end of this row, and like, you know what? Yeah, that's what we'll do. We're going to finish on this. We're not going to finish. We're going to stop on this row, and then we're going to work. The next row will be the row that we're going to start the eyelets on. Just as an example. Okay. Me take out the stitch marker. Come on, it's just a paper clip. It's not that difficult to open. Why can't I do that? Okay. We're gonna flip stitch to join. Sorry if my everything's kind of washed out. Every now and then the lighting, I think it's catching the white on the yarn and washing everything out. Okay, so let's say we've got most of the height that we want. Like this one here, we would get up to about here, however tall you want it to be. And now we're going to work the row that has the starting the eyelets. So it doesn't have to be an exact. You're going to, and you can have as many as you want. That one has 3 eyelets on it. You can only have 1 if you want. Get as many as you want. Or if you want to just make a basket that has eyelets as a decorative accent and not actually use them, you can place them wherever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a number of regular of the half double crochets that we've been doing. So I'm going to do about 20. So that's 2. There's 3. Pull out some of my slack. 4, 5, 6. Oh, I've got a knot here where it joined. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to put it to the inside. So we did 5, 6, 7, 9. Again, you could do it however many stitches over you want. It doesn't really matter. Like I said, I'm going to do about 20. So that was 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. This yarn is not liking me tonight. Really not liking me. 19, and then there's 20. Okay, so let's say I want my eyelet to be here. So I did a number of stitches over. Yep, come on, yarn. I'm actually going to mark the beginning. I mean, I can obviously see it, but just to be on the safe side. So I want my eyelet here. So I've done my number of stitches, however you want. You're going to chain 1, you're going to skip a stitch, and in the next stitch, do the same stitch over. So you're going to form a hole. That's going to be the basis of your eyelet. And then you could do however many more you want. I'm going to put 3 on here. So I'm going to do like 10 stitches in between eyelets. There's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and here's 10. And then I'm going to have an eyelet here. I'm going to chain 1, skip a stitch, and then the next stitch, keep going. Again, I'm just still doing the half doubles, or whatever stitch you choose to do. It just tends to make a little bit more of a substantial stitch. So there's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and there's 10. And this is where I'm going to have my third eyelet. I'm going to chain 1, skip 1, and then the next one just keep going. Again, you can have as many as you want, as little as you want. You don't have to put eyelets if you're just going to make a basket. If it's just going to be a basket, you just make it as tall as you want. We're going to keep going till we get to the end. We're going to finish off the row as normal. We can get there. Splitty yarn. I don't like the splitty yarn. Should have picked other yarn. I should have tested this, really. Just something I grabbed last minute. And I knew I had enough that would make the project, and I wouldn't have to like constantly join yarns. I think I'm getting near the end. Yeah, I'm getting close to the end of the round. And then the next round, I will show you how we're going to do the next row. Keep dropping the strands and splitting the yarn. Couple more stitches and we will end the row. And then we will work on the following. And get there. I keep talking to it. You can do it. Yes, us crocheters can be crazy at times. We talk to our yarn. Okay, I'm going to take out my stitch marker. I'm going to slip stitch to join. All right, now I'm ready to do my next row. So we're going chain 2 like normal, and then we're going to just keep stitching into the stitches like we normally would. Keep going all the way down. And then when we get to the eyelet, I'll show you what we're going to do. It's real easy. Okay, the eyelet's coming up. Oh, I'm not even on camera. The eyelet's coming up, so I still have to work all the way down to here. Sometimes I forget that I'm out of frame. Oh, the yarn. If Like every stitch it splits. Alrighty, our eyelet is right here. So we got a couple more we got a stitch here to do. And now the next stitch, so we did our stitch all the way up to the eyelet. Actually, no, there's one more right here. I forgot that one right there. Now, of course, there's a knot from where it was joined. Okay. So now we have the eyelet, the hole, and all we're going to do is we're going to do our half double, the same stitch, but instead we're going to go into that chain space, and then we keep going. So what happens, it just bridges it. It'll still be a hole. Now, so we don't have to sit here and watch. I'll go to the next eyelet. We're not going to go to the very end. We're going to work into and around this chain space. So we're going to put a stitch there. It splits. Oh, and there's another knot in my strand. And I'm going to do like 2 more stitches. So you would do that all the way around until you get back to where you started. And then if you want, what I would recommend is after you finish that round, do another round on top of it, if not more. Again, yours would be taller than this. You wouldn't have a shallow one. And then, where is the, oh, it's right here. So just imagine I finished that row, and then I did a couple more rows, just regular, no eyelets. So we've got these eyelets spaced. So let's say we're done. I'm not going to show how to put the loop on. I can always show that at another time. Again, that's not really, actually, no, I will show that real quick. I might as well. You know what? I will go to the very end here. And at the very end, I will, that's where I'll put the loop on. If I'm going to do it, I might as well do it right. And I still got plenty of this yarn. Okay, we've got the eyelet again, so we're going to do our little stitch and then just keep trucking along. Ew, this yarn's got tons of knots in it. But I'm not really worried. Move that part to the inside. Drop the loop. Okay. Couple more stitches to the end. And at the end, I will make a little loop. Five more stitches. Okay. Here's our last stitch of this round. I'm going to do my slip stitch join. I'm just going to slip stitch it in there. I don't care. I'm not going to go into the chain. Alrighty. Okay. So we've joined. Let's say we're at the height that we want. Now we're going to do our loop. So what we're going to do is we're going to chain about 6. 1, 2. Make certain you get both strands, or if you're doing 3 strands, whatever number you're doing, make sure you get them all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've done our 6 chains, and then we're going to go backwards. We're going to skip the first 2 stitches, and then the third one, and it helps if you just put the loop like this against the side, and you find the third one, and you go in, bring up a strand, and you have 2 on the hook, and then yarn over through 2. We've made a single crochet. Yeah, that's how we do it. So we made our little loop. Now we're going to reinforce the loop. So what we're going to do is in that loop we made, that chain 6 here, go in, bring up a strand, 2 on the loop, and just make a bunch of single crochets into that little loop that we made. We're just reinforcing it. Put as many as will fit. You can slide them down, get them snug. You're going around that chain 6. Adding some bulk to that chain so it's a little more durable than just a chain. Get one more in there. Okay. So going all the way down. Now I go to the next stitch in the row. So where it's joined, go in, just bring up, and just do a single crochet. And then if you want, you could just do a slip stitch in the next one. And then we are at the point where we can cut our yarn, pull it through, and tighten it up. And there we've got a little loop. It's not the best loop, but there's your little loop. So that's real easy. Actually, I should have anchored it a different way, but you get the idea. Now, back to the eyelets. So the eyelets aren't reinforced. You can use it like this, pull the yarn through, but to reinforce it, I've got other yarn. Actually, I'm going to get a contrasting yarn. I'm going to get a darker yarn. And I am going to get my yarn needle, my plastic one here. I'm going to thread my yarn needle. That's splitting because it's the yarn needle, not because it's old yarn. I mean, it is scrap yarn, but it's not 40-some-year-old yarn. And I'm going to take a length of it, maybe a couple feet. And I know some of you don't use feet, maybe about 1 meter or so. And before I do this part, we have an ad. So when I come back from the ad, I will show you how to reinforce the eyelets. I will be back. Welcome back. Okay, so we've got our eyelets here. Our eyelets. That's where the yarn is going to go through. But we're going to make reinforcements, and these are pretty strong here. So we're going to get our yarn. You can use matching yarn. You can use contrasting. I'm just going to show contrasting for the sake of the stream. And I'm going to find the first eyelet, which is here, and I'm going to go on the inside. So this is the inside. Ignore this little knot and tail. And normally I would have had at least another row of the side of it, but this will still work. That's okay, lady. I think Nor Fairy had left for the evening. But if I talk to him before you do or whatever, I will definitely thank him for you. So we've got our eyelet here. And again, like I said, I would have normally added another row, at least another row. So on the inside of our bowl, I'm going to take my... Nope, that's okay. Nothing wrong with being really deep in the lurk. Not a problem. So I'm going to take my yarn needle. I've got my yarn threaded. And maybe a stitch or two away, I'm just going to go and I'm going to anchor my yarn. So I'm going to stitch in there. It's not going to show up on the outside. So I'm just going to pull it through a few stitches and pull it most of the way till I get the end, maybe about that much. And then I'm going to go through and do the same thing, and you might have to play around with the yarn to get it in there. And you're going to go in at least another stitch like that, and that's just going to anchor it. So we have an anchor point. We're going to cut this eventually, somewhat close, but we just want to have something anchored on the inside. Now we're going to take our needle and we're going to put it through that hole that we made and bring it to the front side. So that's just anchoring it on the back. And then flip it over to the front. And we're going to kind of envision or visualize a circle around it. Now, I can't make mine too big because the edge is right here. So I'm just going to make it somewhat shallow. And you know what? I need to get a metal needle because that plastic needle is not cutting it, because it's not going to be able to pierce through the layers of the stitching as easily. So let me get my metal yarn needle. I like the metal ones better anyway. And the ones I like are the ones that have a bent tip that you can really get into that stitch a lot easier. But that's just my preference. So I'm just going to thread my needle again. And you can like double it up most of the way so you're not constantly pulling all these the whole strand of yarn. So again, you're going to envision like a circle around it. So we've come up from the backside through the hole, and we're just going to go and we're going to do one of these motions. You're going to push it through. I don't have a ton of time before I go back to lurk, but I wanted to mention that I love these, but I do hope you still do invest in ceramic yarn balls, especially I'm making my way back to a wheel soon. Got a spot a studio nearby. Yeah, oh, definitely. Definitely invest in ceramic yarn bowls or any type of pottery, and support your local craftspeople, regardless of what they make. Yeah, most definitely. So we're just going to stitch, and we're going to end up wrapping it like this. So we're going to go in, going to go from the back into the back side and then back through. These look so much fun for portable yarn bowls. I like I never thought of that. Can't do that with ceramic or wood. Yeah, that's what I mentioned at the beginning of my stream, that it's great if you're on the go. If you're like going to a class or whatever, and you can't really take your ceramic yarn bowl. You have your yarn bowl, you got your project, you got your tools, you got everything that you need all in there, and then you could easily fold this up and put this in a bag, in your purse, a tote bag. Oh, my hook came through. And then when you get there, it's all in one spot. So it's great for on the go. But if you're home and you got the space, definitely get a bowl like this, either ceramic. Lady actually does ceramics, or wood. I would encourage people to like find local craftsmen if they make them out of wood. There's other materials. Yeah, definitely support your local artist. So again, I just stitched and I went down and came up through that hole. And I'm going to do the same thing all the way around. I'm just doing a whip stitch. And you're going to reinforce. If I had a portable yarn bowl in college, I'd have knit in every single class. I didn't because I wasn't about to drag all your supplies around. Yeah, it's kind of cumbersome to bring a ceramic bowl with you everywhere. And then you run the risk of it breaking. And so you're just going to go around, and you evenly space it. Okay? You don't actually go into like where the stitches, you can pierce the stitch with your needle, and they're going to lie next to each other. And you're going to probably go around a couple times. My sample here, I went around the circle twice. And go as many times as you need to get them even. Did I ever share the one I made for myself? I hope I did, because that would be all. I don't know if you actually shared that or not. I don't think you did. So I'm just working my way all the way around the circle and just doing them evenly, about the same, a consistent distance from the center. Just real simple whip stitching. I'll even zoom in a little bit more so you can see what I'm doing. And again, there's a little space here, so when I go around the second time, I'll make certain to put a stitch in there. And I want to be able to pierce the actual stitch, not go in the hole that's formed by the stitch. Help if I stay in frame. You would think I would learn. I've been streaming since December. You would think I would learn how to keep the work in frame. Okay. You just keep going around as many times as you need to or as you want to. I mean, it would still work if you stopped right there, but if you want it fuller, I'm like, okay, I want to stitch right in there because I'm missing some. You put it wherever you need to. I'm like, one can go here. Oh, that's pretty. I like the lady posted the a picture of the ceramic yarn bowl that she made, and I really, really like those colors. I like a lot of I like a lot of gemstone jewel tone colors, but I really like a lot of earth tones also. So I'm just gonna work my way around. I'm on my second trip around, and it's firm. It's getting real firm here because you've got the thickness of the bowl or the basket, and then all the thickness you're adding in the yarn here. It's a very natural, earthy set of tones. Half the dip is matte and the other half is glossy. Oh, I love. I've seen a lot of pottery like that. Actually, speaking of which, that's kind of like what this is. This is glossy, but down here, this is matte. The bottom's matte and the top is glossy. I got that at the Maryland Renaissance Festival many, many, many years ago. Heck, that was probably back in 2009. So I'm coming around. I'm like, oh, one can go here. You can do it however you want. You can get real creative with this too. You can go all the way around, and then if you want it to look more like a flower, you could do other ones that are that are longer. You can do some decorative stitches just on the eyelet part. Feel like if I didn't share the inside, it'd be problematic. It came up better. That the inside is gorgeous, also. Very nice. Okay. So that's basically how you do the eyelet. You just do whip stitches all the way around. And when you do this, you're actually making the hole there a little bit bigger so you can pull the yarn through. Again, this is much, much smaller. I mean, well, lady ceramic yarn bowl is on the shorter side. So I guess that it could work still. Can't wait to get my hands back into the mud. Glazing is so testy, but also you can make stuff. Yeah. Again, the only time I've ever done ceramics was in high school, and we didn't use a pottery wheel. A lot of pinch pots. So then to finish it, let me show you how to finish the eyelet. So you pull it to the back side, and then you just do a few little stitches here just to tack it down. Just like how you would weave in your ends when you crochet. You just go in, you go back and forth a few different directions so it doesn't get worked out. And then you're done. Real easy to do. What would look really cool is if not just yarn bowls, if you had other ceramic bowls, if you had like a collection of ceramic bowls and then yarn ones, but in like similar tones, like earth tones yarn, and then use them as your storage, as a storage system. So you get the soft tactile feel of the yarn, and then the harder feel of the ceramics. So You want to do what now? Can't wait to make this one. My yarn has just been rolling around my table. Yep. Again, do this, or if you can find a local artisan that makes yarn bowls, or do both. Having bowls made of ceramic and yarn in matching tones. Yes, you get that the softness of the yarn, and then the harder texture of the ceramics, and it would make a really good display. So I personally like this one better. 100% gonna have to make a soft yarn bowl because I travel so much to not have one. I can't believe I've not done that yet. Yeah, actually, this here was my first one, and it just came to me the other day because I was doing the basic stitches all of May, and today being the last stream of May, I needed something else to do. I was like, oh, that makes sense. And then I don't know if you were here earlier, lady, when I showed this one here. This is done in cotton, 2 rows of cotton, and it's like a rainbow color. And I made it a little bit wider, and I made a divider for it, and it's just rectangles. They're just 2 rectangles. Each rectangle is the diameter of the base, and it's the height of my bowl. So I made 2 of them, laid them on top of each other, did a running stitch to join them, and now I have and it's not attached, it's removable, and that's what I've got separating some of my crochet thread. I've got a whole bunch of I got size, what size? My size 5 crochet threads in another container. I need to find another decorative thing. And then if I used it all up, or if I didn't want to use this for anything, for the crochet thread, I can take it all out and then still use the dividers. And since the dividers are flexible, if I have more of one thing, I can move it, or I can take the divider out and just use the bowl by itself. If you made a bigger one, I guess you can do another divider. You can have 6 sections. Oh. And then I can't show the bottom of it because, well, I kind of can. So that's what the bottom looks like. That's the sides, and it's got enough body to stand up. I'm like addicted to them now, is making bowls. But I think so far this tan one with the green eyelets is my favorite, and it's got the little loop. Again, you can hang that somewhere if you trust your stitches, and then or like I showed, and I mentioned this earlier, Saturday when I made the Yarn Buddy. I don't know if you were here for the Yarn Buddy. And the Yarn Buddy is super simple. It's just a couple rounds, and then the outer one is you do 2 chains and you do a single crochet, you skip one, and then that's where you can put your stitch markers, and then you can weave your needles and your crochet hooks and whatever into your Yarn Buddy, and then you got a long chain, and you can attach your scissors to your chain, and then either to an actual project bag, like a regular tote bag or whatever, you can attach the Yarn Buddy to the handle, or a basket, whatever type of bowl you have, if you're able to attach it, if it's got a handle, or if you have a yarn bowl, you could attach it here just with a little simple knot. And then I got my sock pattern in here with all my hooks, and then I could take my Yarn Buddy, put it in there, so if I need to use the hooks and everything, it's right there with the project. This is a pattern that's got to go on Ravelry or something, because people are going to have a great time with them. It's real basic. Again, you make it whatever size you want. You're just doing a circle, you're increasing to whatever size, And once you get to the size you want, then you don't increase anymore, and you make the sides, you just keep going as tall as you want, and then if you want the eyelets, you make the eyelets. So it's not like a real strict pattern. You can make these much smaller around. Like this is, the base is 76, the outer one is 70 stitches around. You can make them narrower, you can make them much bigger. I'm here for Crafty Cubs organizing, because there's no way I ever thought of stuff like this. And it's really good if you've got multiple projects going on at the same time, like a knitting project, and another knitting project, and a crochet project, and this. You could do multiple of them, and then you've got a yarn buddy for each, and you got a bowl for each. And if you're, again, like if you're on the go, so keep everything organized. And they would also look, and I don't know about the pastel, well, maybe, if you have ceramic bowls and yarn bowls, put in a fake plant. I wouldn't put in a real plant in the yarn, because that would get nasty. But you can have a whole collection of plants. You can do all different things with them. And you can fold them up and store them. Oh, and then the other, I was in a goofy mood the other night when I showed this, the preview of this one here. So prepare to laugh at me. I'm going to move my yarn buddy. I got a mess. Even though it's organized, I've got a mess. So move that yarn. This here, now I wouldn't do this with a ceramic bowl, but this, if you don't want to use it as a yarn bowl or an organization bowl or a basket or whatever, it will also double as a hat. Yeah, us crocheters are a little odd. Yes, I put the bowl on my head. Yes, a bucket hat. Okay, so I'm gonna switch this over, and oh, as soon as we mention weirdos and buckets on heads, Seagam is tuning in near the end of the stream. I'm getting ready to end, and we're probably going to raid somebody, but I just made, and you can't, bear with me, it's going to be a little dark here for a second. Ooh. I just made, that's not good. I just made this basket bowl for yarn, but then Seagam, you missed it. It's also a hat. Actually, I didn't make this one. Take that back. I did not make this one stream tonight. I made this one. I didn't finish the other eyelets, but it's a shallower one. Alrighty. So with that said, we are going, whoa, I just hit a button and everything highlighted. I don't want everything to be highlighted. We are going to call it a night, but I think we're going to raid somebody. And let me turn my music off first. And okay. Drooby Zoo is working on something. No problem. I think we're going to go raid Drew. I don't know what he's working on. He's wearing his flower, I think it's daffodil something hat. It's this really cool, ruffly floral hat. So I think we're going to go and raid him. I will be on Thursday night. I'm trying to get this done before the next ad because I don't want to end up having to sit through an ad. We'll be on Thursday night for the beginning of Granny Month, and we will be doing the 3D Daisy Square, which I'm excited about. So everybody have a good night, and like I always say, happy crafting, and let's go raid Drew. And give it about 10 seconds or so, and I will talk to y'all